To the everyday observer, prosperity is loud. It is broadcast through luxury cars, sprawling homes, and designer labels. But true financial security operates unseen. Imagine a city street where capital is exchanged for status. Right below that street lies a subterranean concrete vault, where productive assets accumulate in the dark. The people who build these hidden vaults often walk right past us completely unnoticed. Look at this bar chart tracking American financial health. It shows 60% of all adults live paycheck to paycheck. But when the data segments by income, a startling reality emerges. 45% of six-figure earners have exactly zero fiscal buffer. This insolvency is rarely driven by the rising cost of basic necessities. Among those high-earning households living paycheck to paycheck, 30% are doing so strictly by choice. They succumb to lifestyle creep, actively draining their bank accounts to zero every single month to prioritize leased luxury vehicles and exclusive memberships. The goal is simply to project an image of success to their peers. Take Richard Foscone as the extreme case study. His story proves this is not an issue of basic financial literacy. Foscone held elite credentials from Harvard Business School and climbed the institutional ranks to become a vice chairman at Merrill Lynch. Yet, despite earning millions, Foscone deployed his capital into hyper-visible liabilities to signal his wealth. He acquired a sprawling 18,000-square-foot mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, saddling himself with a suffocating $66,000 monthly mortgage payment. His portfolio was built on the fragile assumption that luxury real estate would endlessly appreciate and his massive income would never stop. When the 2008 global financial crisis hit, liquidity evaporated. Stripped of his cash flow, Foscone was crushed under $34 million in rigid debt obligations and forced into total personal bankruptcy. An exceptional salary provides absolutely no defense against insolvency if the capital is tied up in visible, leveraged liabilities. Without productive assets generating passive cash flow, a high income is just a larger target. If Foscone's collapse was an isolated incident, we could dismiss it, but it maps perfectly to a nationwide pattern. To see the true health of American wealth, we examine the raw data from the Federal Reserve and the Bureau of Economic Analysis. These institutions act as the ultimate lie detectors. This line graph tracks the U.S. personal saving rate, the percentage of income left over after covering living expenses. In a matter of months, this critical buffer fell off a cliff, dropping from 5.5% to a perilous 2.6% floor in early 2026. As these liquid cash reserves dry up, consumers are taking desperate measures to sustain the visible lifestyles they've built. Right now, nearly 20% of the workforce is actively raiding their 401k retirement accounts, cannibalizing their future security just to pay for today's lifestyle deficiencies. U.S. consumer credit card debt has skyrocketed, hitting a staggering $1.252 trillion peak. Individually, the average household carries $11,500 in revolving debt. With a 21.5% interest rate, borrowers are locked into years of indentured repayment, paying compound interest instead of earning it. This burden does not fall evenly. Generation X carries the highest average debt loads across all American demographics. Caught in the sandwich generation, they face dual financial pressures of funding their children's college educations while paying for the health care of aging parents. Even for households with a positive net worth, their balance sheets hide a deep structural weakness. This pie chart deconstructs the average American household's wealth based on the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances. Notice that 30% is locked in their primary residence, while a fragile 5% sits in liquid cash. This means the everyday household holds its wealth purely on paper. If a sudden medical emergency or job loss strikes, you cannot quickly sell a bedroom to buy groceries. Without actual cash flow flexibility, they are completely exposed to economic shocks. There is an alternative to this fragile existence. It requires rejecting the highly leveraged lifestyle of the executive and embracing the discipline of the quiet janitor. That archetype is perfectly embodied by Ronald Read, a humble resident of Brattleboro, Vermont. Read worked for 25 years as a gas station attendant and later as a part-time janitor, where his wages peaked at a modest $12 an hour. But he actively repelled the pressure to look wealthy. He drove a second-hand Toyota, parked far away to avoid meters, and wore tattered coats held together by safety pins. His outward appearance was so remarkably modest that strangers would occasionally pay for his coffee, assuming he was completely broke. Yet when Read passed away at the age of 92, his community was stunned. The quiet janitor left behind a highly productive, secretly accumulated estate worth $8 million. He didn't achieve this through high-risk speculation. Read built his mathematical compounding engine by maintaining an astonishing 80% savings rate. He diverted that modest income straight into the stock market, steadily purchasing shares in 95 blue-chip, dividend-paying American corporations. To protect his vault, he engineered intentional behavioral friction. By keeping his equity in physical paper certificates inside a safe deposit box, Read made his money incredibly difficult to raid. The sheer administrative hassle required to retrieve and sell those papers short-circuited any emotional urge to panic sell during market crashes. Modern workers can easily translate Read's extreme methods into actionable steps. First, execute a ruthless 30-day audit of your expenses to locate and eradicate the digital waste draining your accounts. Second, build a liquid cash moat of 3 to 6 months of expenses, safely insulated in a high-yield savings account. Finally, utilize the 1% automation principle to bypass the psychological trap of your checking account. Look at this digital flow diagram. By automatically diverting just 1% of your incoming paycheck into the separate investment lockbox before you even see it, you eliminate the need for willpower. Because the money is never seen, it is never missed. Over time, you scale that micro-saving rate into significant cash-flowing assets. Enduring prosperity is not measured by what you display to the world. It operates entirely unseen. Wealth is not the money you burn to impress strangers.